Hi, everyone. This is Hannah with the Ally Center at LBC. Today, we are going to be going over part two of our series on ideal study spaces. Thanks for joining us today. How do you eliminate distractions or, in general, create a sense of mental clarity in your study space? Kristen.
Again, this has kind of been a struggle too. I'm in the same boat as Mariah. I don't have a designated like office area, just a space. But I think just even though it is still part of the main space in my house, it's set apart a little bit. And so that, that helps me eliminate distractions. Again, I don't have little tiny kids. My kids are teenagers, but um, closing doors, playing. I think you had mentioned instrumental music, or I like whatever music that is soothing to you. I tend to like worship music in the background. Those are ways that I have kind of they just help settle me and they help focus me when I'm trying to work. In the wintertime, like I love nothing more than being cozy. So having, I don't know, slippers, LL Bean, lamb's wool slippers. I put those suckers on my feet. I light a candle that smells good, and I am in the zone. So my husband hates
Mhm.
it because I also am very forgetful about blowing candles out. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But that's kind of, the things I get cozy, I get focused, I get just things that are soothing and, comforting, like a fan in the summer, a candle in the winter, that sort of thing.
Excellent. Dr. McClenton.
Because I spend so much time sitting at my computer, uh, it's kind of there's a sameness about it. Like this is a space, okay. What might change around me is I may turn the air on if it's particularly hot, and I don't want to hear a fan. I want the air. Or if, I'm transitioning from the hot weather and the heat is changing, I may find that I have an electric blanket and I will plug that in, put it around my shoulders, and there's that sense of comfort and warmth. So even though I'm sitting at the same place, oftentimes the things that I have around me will change. The other thing is that I am very intentional. If I've got to get something done, then there's a mindset that, you know what, the main thing is the main thing. You have to get this done. And you're going to have to sit here and get it done. And you have a due date. So make it happen. So I know that there are times when I just have, you have to have like a mental thing going on saying, this is due on such and such a date and you need to get it done. So you're just going to have to sit here and get it done. And so it's funny because we've talked about like things that are salubrious, like whether it's the warmth or the candle, the worship music, but sometimes the mental piece enters into, and that, listen, you've got to discipline yourself and know that you've got deadlines, and you're going to, with all the other stuff going on around you, you're going to have to block that out because this is going to come due and you have to have it done. Like there's no excuses. And so it's just interesting how you almost like almost like mentally put yourself in the corner and say, okay, you're in a timeout and this is what you need to get done, and you need to get this done by such and such a clock. And I'm making, light of it, but I just know that there are times, especially if it's something that is tedious or requires, just a lot of your energy and you don't want to fall asleep. You really do have to just mentally like prepare yourself to make it happen. And that may be accompanied by a nice cup of coffee or a smoothie or something as a little treat. But yeah, that's how I push myself to just make it happen.
Dr. McClenton, I will build on what you just said about having like your smoothie and your coffee right there. That is actually part of, if I really need to focus on something, then I will set my workspace wherever I'm working at the moment with like water, some form of caffeine, maybe not just one snack, but a couple of snacks so that I actually don't have to get up to get something else. So that I can say, okay, you so if you need to use the restroom, great. But otherwise, you are sitting down and you are locked into this space, because the number of times where I've allowed myself to say, okay, well, I'm just going to get up and get myself a snack or whatever. And then like 20 minutes later, I'm like, I don't know what happened to that chunk of time that it's gone. So intentionally beforehand, knowing whenever I have to get some serious work done, presetting my space, very important for me. Um, Along with that, getting a space that's comfy but not too comfy, because I am often very tired and sometimes I'm working in a very tight deadline, and so I'm like, I need to get this done, and so I actually do need to like stay up late and work on something, or I have the next 2 days to finish this. So I need every moment that I can. If I wrap myself up in a blanket, I will fall asleep, and so but I also like have to walk that balance of, but if I'm too cold, then I'm distracted by being cold. And so I need to focus. Sometimes I will have a fan on with a blanket wrapped around me, because I'm like, I need that duality of something hitting my face to help me sort of wake up. But at the same time, I'm comfy. I'm not freezing myself to death. What do I listen to? So I personally actually do best with silence. If I am listening to just about anything, I will be distracted by whatever the thing is that I'm listening to. I can't have audiobooks or podcasts playing in the background, because I will listen to the podcast or audiobook. I will not be focused on whatever else I'm doing. And the same thing is actually true with for music that has anything that is even close to lyrics. So even if it's a worship music thing that's instrumental, I can hear the words in my head because I know the songs. And so that's also distracting to me. And classical music is distracting for a whole bunch of other reasons. And so, so for me, most often I'll actually just put my headphones in, turn it to noise canceling. And then there's something about being in that more blocked off space that helps me to focus even better. And as I think about boundaries, because I don't have right now one space that's mine, that I can say, okay, this is the space that I go to do my work. And I often need to be in my home so that if the baby needs me, I can be available. If I do need to get something done, my husband is very supportive of all of the different things that I'm involved with. And so if I have a project that I need to work on, or even right now, I'll say, hey, could you keep primary eyes on the baby for the next 2 hours while I work on this? And he's like, on it. And so for us to be able to have that time space boundary where it's, I don't have a physical space, but I have that time space allotted where I can zero in. That's very helpful for me.
Yes. So I try to eliminate distractions by oftentimes having my phone on do not disturb. And so like the only notifications that come in are like from like my husband or like maybe my mom. Um, and just so then like my phone's not constantly like buzzing or anything like that. And then I will also really benefit from getting some fresh air if I can. And so we have a little patio here. And so sometimes if I'm able to, I'll take my work outside and just get some sun, get some fresh air, really refreshing. And then I love a good snack and a comforting beverage. So whether that's a smoothie or a lavender matcha or a spiced chai, I love having a fun beverage to just I feel like it elevates my sense of work and accomplishment. I just like I feel just that much more I don't know, put together. I'm not sure what how that works psychologically, but it works, and so it's an easy way to stay on task. Or peppermint tea. That's another one in the rotation. Something else that helps me is to have at least somewhat intentional breaks of making sure that like if I'm sitting for a long time, getting up and just like running downstairs to like fill up my water bottle or something like that, just so that I'm like moving, keeping the blood flowing. Because I think if I am sitting for too long, there can be kind of a sense of like malaise and just like dreariness. So it's just good to stay moving and stay committed to the task. So that is how I tend to eliminate distractions. Um, Moving into our next question. If you were designing the perfect study space for your current season of life, what would it include? Dr. McClenton.
I think I would have a nice size room that is dedicated specifically for that. Okay. And inside that room, it would be replete with a state-of-the-art computer, which I do have, but an even newer one. And it would have a nice size monitor, like wherever I have to work, there's a 22-inch monitor, but there may be an even larger monitor that would also be replete with just a really making sure I have a great audio system so that, when I'm talking, I'm interacting. There'll probably be a treadmill off to my right or to my left, and there would be my MetaQuest headphones for when I need to take a break. Okay. And probably have a little fridge there too, that so I don't have to run out that room. So it's like really like setting up a space where it is a room apart from everything else. Because one of the challenges is when you have a space where everything takes place, there isn't necessarily a boundary of when work ends and fun starts. Now I do have another room that I could do that, but it's a smaller room. So if I were just planning again, you know, that's what that would look like.
So I would like a separate patio space that's air conditioned and like lets the air in at the same time. I don't know if they have that technology there yet, but fresh air along with air conditioning slash heating, that would be fantastic. That is just covered with both bookshelves and then desk space. So I just need surface space, or ideally, so if you're familiar with Minority Report, that movie where the like Tom Cruise does like the camera, not the camera, the computer thing, and it pops up and he has those little things on his hands and he's moving stuff around, that would be even more ideal because then I could just pull things off of my computer and just sort of play with files that way. I'm ready for this future. I'm ready for it. So whenever that's here, I would like it. Just pin that for LBC whenever our budget expands.
Sounds good. Yes, I think mine would be similar in that like I love like a three seasons room. My great aunt has it's like a screened in porch, but then she has AC and heat in it. And so it's amazing. She has a ton of plants. And so I would just be surrounded by plants, fresh air. I'd have my walking pad. And I think if I could have a really high quality espresso machine that I could make decaf espresso with, because I don't handle caffeine super well, but if I could just have decaf espresso, that would be lovely. Um, and uh window seats with bookshelves, built-in bookshelves. Big fan. Love natural lighting. So that would be my space. Kristen?
So yeah, it's 91 degrees. I'm in Indiana and it's humid and it's hot and it's miserable. So any room with air conditioning would be top of the list. But and I know if you're just listening to this, you can't see the background on my video, but I have a very cozy, like three seasons slash room virtual background, and that's kind of what my ideal space would be. I think just comfortable furniture. I could do without the plants. I'm not a plant person, like an indoor. I kill indoor plants, so we don't need those. But yeah, a couple bookshelves, some, lamps, so we could turn on the lamps at lamp o'clock, which is, whenever you feel the need to turn a lamp on. Just coziness and also, yes, a walking pad. Um, it's one thing I would love to have, a walking pad, because I do find that hand or helpful to get up. I forget who said it, mentioned, when you've worked for a long time, like getting up and moving. I think that would be excellent to be able to move while working. Maybe not during student appointments, but when I'm working on computer things, that would be great to have that. So yeah, air conditioning, that's really all I care about.
Yes, I love the lamp o'clock thing. I feel like all the time is lamp o'clock in this house because we kind of avoid the big lights as we call them. So, as we finish out, what is one thing that you want adult learners to remember as they create their own study space? Maybe consider helping our listeners get started today. One simple, actionable step. And I can start with this one. I think one actionable step is to be honest with yourself. I think just really taking an honest inventory of, okay, what are my most common pitfalls when it comes to getting sidetracked? Is it checking my email? Is it checking social media? Is it spending time with loved ones or family members and getting distracted by them? Obviously, these are all good things in their proper context, but we just need to take inventory of, okay, what are some of my major points of derailment, and how can I actively work to mitigate and minimize those distractions when I am trying to accomplish work?
I'll add, uh, find one thing to include in your space, wherever that space is, but one thing that brings you joy or makes you feel like makes you feel some sort of positive emotion, whether it's a lamp or a candle or slippers or whatever it may be, just something that will make you look forward to going to that space. Because a lot of times when you sit down to study, it's not what I would call fun, right? Sometimes it's more enjoyable than others. But if there's something that you can look forward to when you go to that space, put it there. Again, for me, it's a cozy candle and a lamp. For you, it might be something different, but that's my advice.
That's such sound advice, because it makes doing our work that much more delightful. Like, it adds delight and a spark of joy to what can feel sometimes a bit like drudgery, but having something to look forward to is such a great idea. Dr. McClenton.
I kind of have two thoughts because I do believe that in the span of, being a student, I'd like to believe that there's some assignments that are kind of on the fun side. I mean, if everything is drudgery, I don't even think you would be in college, right? And so recognizing that some things are going to come easier than others. But I think the thing that becomes more difficult to negotiate is when you're looking at things that you don't want to do. You have no energy, you're not motivated to do it, except you understand that if you do not do this, it's going to affect your grade. And so, number one, it's that being mentally honest with yourself. Number two, thinking about and they're all mission critical, but there's some assignments that are more mission critical than other assignments, right? And once you understand, like, what is it that I really have to set to do, then because you know that it is mission critical, like a lot is riding up on it, then find that place where you know you're going to get that mission accomplished. For some, it may be Starbucks. For some, it may be sitting in your SUV with the air on. Whatever that is, you know that when I walk away, this needs to be done. Okay. So wherever that place is, the library, your best friend who has a spare room, the third floor of your house, whatever that looks like, or the early morning hours when everybody is still asleep and you know you're not going to be disturbed, just I got to go to this space and I got to get this done. So that's what I would add.
That's excellent. Yeah, keeping the main thing, and making sure that, yeah, as you said, once I leave this space, the next time I leave this space, this assignment or this task will be done, and holding yourself accountable to that is awesome. Mariah.
So I would say, and I didn't say this, but one thing that actually really does help me is not just having my phone on like do not disturb, but actually turning it off and putting it in a different room is very helpful to help keep that mental boundary of, and depending on sort of how you use your phone, it may not be your phone, but just eliminate those distractions. Be ruthless with eliminating distractions. And I would also recommend, we have at our Ally Center pages a whole bunch of resources on creating boundaries. We'll link those into the show notes. So I would recommend checking out those resources and figuring out what works best for you in your own space to create the boundaries that you need to create your ideal study space.
And that is a great place to close for today. Thank you, team. And thanks everyone for joining us today on the Ally Advantage.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
See ya.